Hey, what's going on, gamers? Welcome to this special edition episode of Gaming's Howl, the gaming talk show where we talk about anything and everything related to video games, whether that be news, reviews, movies, history, and more. Today, we are going to be discussing the Halo Infinite tech preview that just took place from July 30th to today, August 2nd. And joining me to help discuss is first time guest and friend, as well as known Halo speedrunner and host of his own podcast, Positively Reviewed, ProAceJOKER.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
So, before we get right in, do you want to give our audience just a little brief history about your time with Halo, since you honestly do have quite the collection of milestones for Halo, I'd say.
No, I'm very new to Halo. First time playing it with Halo Infinite. I'm excited to get into this universe for the first time since it's on PC, and I'm not much of an Xbox fan. Always kind of a PlayStation kid, so, PS forever. Uh, so yeah, no, it'll be, I guess I'll give Halo I'll check it out.
So, just, I guess
You
before
have no
everything.
idea what to do with that, do you?
Kind of.
No, yeah, no, I'm very experienced with Halo. There's an achievement in the game named after me. I've had a lot of world records for speedrunning, and I've probably played the Halo campaigns more than pretty much anyone on this earth. So I have a little experience there.
Yeah, because I know with like either MCC or just even Halo 4 in general, you have like at least 3,000 hours on there, or just something around there, right?
Yeah, Halo 4, I have over 4,000 hours by
Jesus
itself in the
Christ.
campaign. So
Um, but I guess first things first, just what was your first initial reaction to even just getting invited to the just the tech preview? Because I know that there were a lot of people, like almost including myself, I'd say, who honestly didn't get an invite because what was it, like smallest flight they said that they were gonna have,
yeah,
like
well, and yeah, I mean, you didn't get the email, but you ended up getting invited anyways. It just showed up in your inventory, pretty
last
much
minute.
for Halo MCC. Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised. I think they made, honestly, I think they made the flight bigger than even they thought was going to be. I think they saw how many people signed up, saw how many people were looking towards it, and then decide, hey, maybe this is a good time to actually load test our servers, because they were purposely testing their distribution platform was like the main thing. Like, hey, how easy is it for us to get these flights out, and how well is the game going to run with some people on it already? But then they decided that just the more the merrier, because the more they have, the harder they can load test the servers. So I think they just decide that I don't really know anybody who signed up and didn't get in. I think I know of like three people, and I actually think part of it was either they signed up like late, so they signed up after the flight invites had already gone up,
Yeah.
or they honestly didn't know what they were doing. The way they were talking about it, they're like, I don't see an email, and I was like, well, did you check your insider profile? They're like, yeah, I looked, I didn't see any messages, and I was like, there's a lot of stuff you can do to troubleshoot it, and I'm not sure what people did, but yeah, I mean, I think I got invited in the very very first kind of wave when all the invites went out. I think I was part of the very first wave of invites, so I know everyone was complaining about not getting an invite, and I was
Hey.
over here like, yeah, I got one. It's fine. I was like, give it a. I tried to tell everyone. I was like, look, they've always done these in waves. All the other MCC ones and stuff like that have always gone over time.
Yeah.
So I knew they were going to send out more, and I knew a lot of people were going to get in. But more people than I thought actually got in. I want to know what the actual numbers are. It's got to be. I know it's tens of
Yeah,
thousands. So
because I feel like I was definitely one of those who might not have necessarily been planned to get in, but because with me specifically, I know I got the Steam key before I got the actual invite, and then I actually had people who came into my stream saying that they actually never got the invite for the preview, and they had like three different accounts, and then for the 152 Discord server that we had for Halo 5, apparently 80% of the people got in, the other 20% weren't so lucky. But yeah, it's one of those things where what can I say about the beta? It was just fun, honestly.
yeah,
Um,
it was solid. I mean, it was again. There's a lot. it was a typical beta or preview and anything like that. It's, everyone's complaining about the frame rate issues and stuff like that. And I come from a background of game design, so I understand optimization is literally like the last thing they do. Everything has to be in the game first, because if you start optimizing stuff, but you only have half the game actually in it,
Yeah.
and then you add everything else in, all that optimization goes out the door, because now you have to re-optimize every single thing again, because now it's going to work differently with all the extra, animations and weapons and every it's just going to function differently. So, I mean, they try and do a little bit as they go to make sure it can run, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
optimization is the last thing that happens. I will say the Series X, I played both PC and the Xbox Series X. My goodness, the Series X was actually very good. It felt amazing. Like, there
Yeah,
was
no, the
very
Series
little
X,
hitching. Yeah.
yeah, when I played the Series X, it was very smooth. Like just everything, even graphically wise, it was just beautiful. Even for a technical preview, like I was honestly extremely impressed. I genuinely felt like I was just playing a portion of the actual like finished game itself, and like just even if you just look at the armors, just fidelity wise, it's just everything looks beautiful. I mean that said, like I did have some errors here and there, like frame rates. I think mainly when it came to the academy, um, like the academy weapon drills. I think I had majority of like frame rate drops there. Any
Really?
graphical,
Hmm.
yeah, any graphical issues I had were primarily actually in the multiplayer side of things, and I remember watching your stream. You had some fun graphical glitches.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those, and again, those are all things. I mean, like I said, they were focused on server loads more than
Yeah,
anything. So like they obviously they wanted everyone to submit those kind of bugs so that they're aware of it. But really what this was testing out, hey, how many people can we have on the servers before the game just crashes, which we saw right as it all dropped. Halo Waypoint could not handle the amount of people trying to go to the website, and so that's stuff that hopefully they will work on before actual
yeah.
launch.
Now
Um,
it was
yeah.
kind of interesting because you had done a 24-hour stream, and you said that you had way less crashes than you anticipated. Like I think it was like in
Yeah.
the range of like 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, in a beta this early on, I mean, this is a 2-month-old beta supposedly, or a 2-month-old tech preview. We keep saying beta, but that's, yeah,
Yeah,
semantics, I guess. But it's one of
that's
those,
what we're
like,
used to.
it's a 2-month-old build, so it's older. And I mean, they usually make these. These are little side milestones that I'm just totally blanking on the word for it, but pretty much they are just chunks of the game that are purposely pulled out of the game, and then they optimize this to actually work properly. So the other parts of the game were probably the reason it's a 2-month old build is because they didn't have a really good working one for whatever they currently have, because they're still adding stuff and still creating all this other things. And with all the new maps and stuff, they try and simplify it as much. So they usually pull these things out pretty early, and then they work on it to make sure it's in a working order and then send it out.
Yeah,
But it being 2 months old, and as far as we are from launch, games nowadays, this was actually a lot less crashes than I expected. I got into a lot more games. I only had like you said, only like 2 major freezes, and then like 3 full-on game crashes. And I didn't even get. I thought there was going to be a lot of like you play half a game and then you just randomly are back at the main menu because it disconnects you.
yeah.
There was almost none of that. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
and
rare occasion, but
yeah, and it was actually very impressive too. The fact that because we've had a good amount of launches just like the last few years where you couldn't even connect to the game with like for the first 24 hours, or even if you did, you would get just kicked right out of it. But and again, like this for a tech preview, it held up pretty well. Um,
yeah.
and the fact that it's not even the final version, I think it kind of sets. I don't know if I'd want to say that it necessarily sets a high bar, but it gives you a lot to look forward to for the actual official release. You know.
Yeah, I think I had the preview crash less than I have Halo 5 currently crash.
I
I think
feel
if I
that.
did a 24-hour stream of Halo 5, I would have to reset the game, or the game would crash on me more than, yeah, this current tech preview did. So,
Yeah, Halo 5, I still remember going for that 152 and the amount of times that it would literally force my console to turn off and just reboot itself. So that was always a lot of fun. Now getting into the actual gameplay itself, there were three maps, and out of I know you said that you liked what was it, Reforged the best? I think it was called the
Recharge.
yeah, Recharge.
Recharge was fun. I don't know. It's a toss between Recharge and Bazaar.
Yeah, I would agree.
Bazaar is going to be a great competitive map. Recharge, I think, just had a really good flow to it. So I think that the map made sense. I like the weapons on it, and it had good stations, as in like you're gonna have a lot of cross map battles going on, and that's one of those maps that can go really fast or can go really slow. Like in a Slayer match, it's actually gonna slow down, but if there's like King of the Hill or anything like that, Recharge is gonna be a really hectic map in a good way. So
Yeah. Now the third map, I'm actually just blanking out on the name right now, and of course we just had
live
gameplay.
fire.
Yeah, live fire. Um, what did you actually think of that one? Because
I'm
personally,
fine with live fire. Yeah, I mean, I'm not actually a big fan of 3 lane maps, to be honest. I don't know if Call of Duty has just put a bad taste in my mouth for that,
possibly.
but and I mean, this was a well designed 3 lane map where it was actually had some interesting pathways and stuff. But yeah, I think with 3 lane it is. It's just much of that map is open when it comes to an actual multiplayer setting. Once people learn the spawns and everything in that game, live fire is going to be one of the maps that you're just going to get spawn trapped in the entire time, and there's no real good way to break out of it. Because yeah, you can really take some power positions with. I mean, we saw for the little while that PvP was turned on. I think live fire was the few matches that I typically saw one team sweep the other because it just no team could get out of spawn. They're fighting people who now all have BRs on them because they've all taken the BR spawns and
The power positions.
snipers and stuff. And yeah, they've just sat there. So I think it's gonna be. I hope it's not a map that gets played competitively because it's fine for social and it's a good map. I think it's a really pretty map. Um, but yeah, I think I don't like 3 lanes. So
Yeah. For me personally, I wasn't so much of a fan of live fire, just because of the fact that I felt the flow of it just wasn't as, I don't know if I'd want to say clean or fluid, but it just wasn't as, I feel like, good as the other two, because it was one of those where you did have the open areas to the side, but then you also have the middle, but it's like I felt like you never had a lot going on in the middle too much. It was always very much the side lanes, which
yep.
while with the other two maps you had a lot going on in the middle, you would have. I felt like it was more widespread, you know.
Yeah, live fire is going to be a map that the only time you're really going to see a lot of fighting going on in the center is when power weapons are up.
Yeah,
So because that's that. I mean, that's really what that area is designed for, anyways. Is yeah, you're supposed to have a fight across right when the match starts, and then whenever a power weapon respawns. But other than that, I don't see a lot of power, like a lot of fighting happening in the center because there isn't. There's not a lot of cover. It's really easy to get naded out, and
it's also just like small in general too.
yep, yeah.
Now, speaking of weapons, we had a whole bunch of new weapons in the tech preview. What would you say was your favorite out of all of them? Because there was the Pulse Carbine, the new rifle, the Commando rifle, and what was it? The Skewer, I think it was called, the harpoon gun.
Keyword, yeah. Yeah, I mean they got the bulldog and the heat wave as well.
Forgot about those completely.
I remember there's what else do they have? I think there was there one more. No, I guess all the rest were. Oh, well, I mean, I guess Ravager they had on recharge.
Yeah, I forgot
So,
that one existed too.
and then the equipment, but like I love the commando rifle actually. I thought I wasn't gonna like a weapon like that. It felt very Call of Duty esque, which I don't mind necessarily, but I didn't think I was gonna be that big of a fan. But I really enjoyed that weapon. Uh, I just love the sandbox in general. They did a really good job keeping it. The weapons felt balanced. They felt like they were good in the position that they needed to be in. The shotguns weren't too overpowered.
Yeah, I
I
can agree
don't
with
like
that.
single shot shotguns. The commando rifle was not great long range, but if you were close range, if you were very close range, AR is going to beat a commando rifle. If you were middle-ish range, commando rifle would beat an AR. And then mid to long range, a BR would beat a commando rifle, and vice versa, right? Like mid range,
It's
kind of a toss up who's going to win that fight, is the BR or the Commando.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job. I think there's some interesting weapon balance going on. So
It's actually kind of funny because I remember in the beginning, not liking the commando rifle, and I accidentally mistook that for the pulse carbine words. But yeah, no, the commando rifle it actually started to grow on me, and honestly, the way I've been using it is just more of just kind of like long range, just because I don't know if it's like the mag size or something, but it just felt good long range, especially when you just kind of like pulse the trigger a bit. I could not for the life of me just get a handle with it for
well, and
short
that's
to
the thing
medium.
with it. What I noticed with the Commando rifle, and this is getting more details than you need, but it's not a weapon that you're supposed to pulse. Like you're supposed to fire it like a fully auto gun, because it has initial, a lot of weapons, a lot of people don't realize, but weapon recoil can change accordingly. And the commando rifle was one of the weapons that the longer you fired it, the less recoil it actually had. It became more stable over time. So they basically created a safety so you couldn't just one tap it across the map and easily hit people rapid fire, but even one tapping it. So if you tried to thumb the trigger, you would probably miss more shots because the recoil would be worse after every pull of the trigger. So they added a lot of safeties like that. So it's meant to be a fully auto weapon.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and that'll help.
yeah, and what you were saying about like gun balance, about how all the guns feel good. I actually remember. I don't know if it was the other day from your stream, but you were talking about Halo 3 and just saying how there's a reason why only in Halo 3 why they only have like 3 weapons in competitive, and just
Right.
coming on thinking about that, I was just like, it's kind of funny because when I think about this game, it almost like every single gun genuinely feels good. It's not like one gun necessarily overpowers the other, but like even the pistol, a sidearm, like you feel like you can get some genuine good use out of it. While
Yep.
in Halo 5, like the pistol, like people would sometimes just stick with that over the battle rifle. So the fact that they've put all the guns in a usable position without anything being more powerful than the other, well, rocket launcher, but
Yeah, I know people love Halo 3 and they love the other games, but it is true. I mean, the like they love those because of the competitive settings that were turned on made sense for how the game played, and that was what people like to use. And that's the problem. Is like the fact is when when they design a game, they want every weapon to be usable, even in a competitive setting. I mean, that's not always going to be the case. Obviously, there's going to be certain weapons that just aren't going to work. Whatever it is, right? Like I don't see the Needler exactly being used that often in a competitive setting, but you could get a good free kill out of it or something. But my point being is this game truly felt like you could use every weapon and it served its function, so you would want to, right? You
yeah,
found yourself constantly wanting to switch out of the AR and Magnum, or the pistol, which has always been kind of a staple of Halo, is that
they were
weapon
always the
needing
go-to
to
guns.
scavenge for weapons, right? You actually need to scavenge the battlefield for weapons, whether it's finding the snipers or the rockets. But yeah, I mean, even Halo 3 or Halo Reach, it was DMRs and battle rifles, and that was it. And then they had a sniper and rocket launcher on the map that respawned. You didn't really see people use pretty much any other gun. And I mean, in competitive settings, they didn't even have really any other guns. They did have a shotgun maybe here and there. They had something here or there, but you didn't get a lot of use. I mean, the entire rest of the sandbox, spikers and plasma rifles and plasma pistols and all of that stuff. None of that was ever used in a competitive setting, and I think that's a missed opportunity. I get
Yeah.
it's not what people liked, but that's the problem. Is you want people to like everything so that it's all usable. So
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because now that I actually think about it, I think there was only one gun which I actually wasn't a fan of, and that actually was the plasma pistol. Just because it was out of all the guns in the beta, besides the sniper, because I just couldn't aim with the sniper for the life of me.
sniper had some issues.
But the plasma pistol was just a gun, and I think it was just because of the fact that the tracking on it was just very nerfed. And the one thing I know about the plasma pistol is like everyone loves it for the noob combo, but even when it came to the academy weapon drills, I really couldn't EMP anyone for the life of me, even the bots. Like all I could really do was just kind of spam the trigger hoping to knock down the shields. So that was actually one thing I was actually kind of saddened by, the fact that it was just like here's this classic utility weapon, which everyone had kind of always gone to for like kind of breaking shields or just like even EMPing a vehicle. But now that you see that the tracking has been just greatly nerfed, and maybe I was just getting really bad luck with hitting my shots, but it was just kind of sad knowing that
No,
there's
the tracking was definitely not as strong as other games, and it's something I think they're going to change. I see them actually giving the plasma pistol, needler, and the pulse carbine maybe a little bit more tracking onto it, because yeah, it's rough right now.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, Pulse
that's okay.
Carbine, yeah, Pulse Carbine. I didn't notice actually all that many issues with it. And I think when you actually showed off the tech preview in your stream, you actually said that the Pulse Carbine looked to be a gun that was very effective at long range. And
Hmm.
even when I tried it at long range, it was definitely a lot better at long range as compared to like shorter, maybe even potentially medium. So, and it was like what, two bursts to the head or something. So, a person would go down. So
Yeah, you don't
that's
even
actually
need to
pretty
hit
good.
the head. I mean, it's just one shot will pop the shields, the second will kill him if you hit every single bullet. And yeah, I mean, it's more effective. It says close range. It is garbage at close range. You will not hit a shot if you're trying to shoot someone close range with it.
Yeah.
But
um.
if you had long range, oh, easy. You could easily just like, as long as the guy isn't full sprinting sideways, perpendicular to you, you're gonna hit every shot, and you'll pop the shield, and you can just quickly swap to a sidearm. It's definitely one that I see. I mean, the sidearm is gonna be an interesting because there's gonna be reason depending on you're gonna have to think about your weapon combos because the sidearm was in a way that was it has a quicker draw time. So if you are using the noob combo and things like that, if you're playing against someone who's using the same combo but is using a commander rifle, you'll win the fight because you're using the sidearm that has a quicker draw time. Um, and so it's gonna be interesting because you will, depending on what you use, you're gonna have to change
Yeah.
accordingly. So.
Now, equipment's back in Halo Infinite, and I'm just curious. What are your thoughts on the equipment? And I mean, granted, really overshield and camo, like it's nothing new to Halo per se, but the how they're utilizing it, the fact that it's now become equipment that you can hold on to and just use whenever you want. Um, what's been your thoughts on that? And are you the kind of person who's been just using it immediately, like specifically the overshield and camo as soon as you got it, or have you been holding off on using it till like you felt like you actually need it?
I used invis pretty much instantly and overshield most of the time because you would be fighting over the overshield, so it would be good. Like if you were able to grab it, you're probably in the middle of getting shot, so you would pop it just so you could get that health back. Uh, we'll have to see. I pocket overshield scares me. If you can get an overshield by itself and get free and you don't have to worry about dying, I could definitely see being as scary. Like you're in the middle of a fight with someone and then you just walk behind a corner, pop it really quick, and now all of a sudden you're gonna automatically win that fight.
Yeah,
So
like it's like
there's
it's like a cheap win
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. I don't know. It seemed okay, but once again, that's gonna be one of those. Once the game gets played more, we'll have to see how it turns out.
Yeah, well, like once
Um,
everyone gets their hands on it, and then you got just the
you're
millions
actually
of
playing
people.
against other players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Which
that's a big deal. But grapple hook is the greatest thing ever created because a grapple hook makes every game better. So and
yeah,
Halo is it turns out to be no different.
and it was actually kind of interesting too, because I remember just seeing the grapple hook, and I was thinking to myself like, oh, like I wonder if this is going to be working like anything from like Apex Legends Pathfinder's grapple hook, right? And when we saw from the trailer and the campaign demo, I thought to myself, oh, okay, like I guess it's not gonna work the way I thought it was. But then I started seeing some clips on Twitter from like Mimblets and some other people of them kind of doing like a 360 around a building, and I'm like, oh, like it apparently can do that in a sense. Um, it's funny because of all the things, I almost sort of wish they had a special mode where it's like you could always just be equipped with the grapple just because of how much fun just using that in of
I,
itself is.
I'm sure they will. I mean, they've already talked about all the really cool custom game options they'll have. Like you'll be able to add bots into Forge and stuff even. So you're gonna be able to yeah, you're gonna be able to do all of the grapple hook game modes and stuff like that. I'm sure it'll be no different than Halo 5, where you'll be able to have infinite thruster, and so you could throw on infinite grapple hooks for everyone and stuff. So they'll be. I guarantee you, they'll even have some special like action sack modes that are going to be infinite grapple. So grapple slayer or something.
Now, what was your opinion of the drop wall? Was that like, do you think it was good, like bad?
I didn't
Like,
mind it. I see myself using it a bit. I mean, it's pretty okay. I mean, it pops really easily, but it will give you that extra. It's not something you want to use in the middle of a fight. If
oh
you
hell
think you
no.
can drop it while getting shot at and you're gonna win that fight, you're not. But I could definitely see it. I can. It's definitely a prop up. Like it's great for a sniper if you're sitting on top of something
Yeah.
because you get knocked out of because of D scope. You can just place it down, see somebody, and at least you'll have that extra 1 second to line up your shot before he hits you. Um, because you're able to actually aim and not get D scoped right away. So it's going to be useful. I like the one wayness of it. I do like how easy it is to break. You can also just shoot the bottom of it to pop the whole thing. So there's a few ways around it, but I can definitely see it being useful. We'll have to see how it is usable in the actual game, though.
Now, did you find yourself using it quite a lot? Because when viewing your stream, I always saw you, especially when in your lobbies. I definitely always saw you going for the grapple hook a lot, but I never really saw you too much going after the drop wall, unless like that was just something I missed entirely.
You didn't need it. I mean, I didn't. Again, against bots, you don't need anything. You can just run around, and that's why I was like, after I use it a bunch, and the against bots, there's a the drop wall is a little overpowered because it acts as an actual wall. So the enemies literally think they lose track of you. You could if you put yourself in between two of them, like perfectly trap yourself in between two of them, the enemies will literally just walk right by you. You'll have all the enemies run around you, and they will not see you, and they will not try to come kill you or anything. They'll just walk right by you because they act as actual barriers that so you could basically be invisible behind them to the bots. So
Yeah. Now, for a period of I believe it was about 2 hours last night, they actually turned on PvP, of which you actually took part of. If I'm not mistaken, unfortunately, I was busy doing other things, but you took part of that, right? The PvP.
yeah, yep, I definitely hopped on. I made sure I could get a little bit of time playing against other players to see how it was. So
Now, how was your experience in that? Like, how is it compared to playing bots? Was it a lot harder? Did you find yourself playing a lot differently? Like, how was the average skill level? Would you say?
I mean, the other player skills they're already dang good. I mean, skill based matchmaking is already in the game, and I think it took bot games into consideration. So we were playing some really good players who,
Just didn't miss their shots.
yeah. So it's they did a yeah. I mean, it was fun. People are figuring out the game. You do have to get out of the bot mentality a little bit, but you can already see that the game flow completely changes when you're playing against other players. There's a lot more
Yeah.
longer range fights and stuff happening. So
Now just as far as just like I guess you could say other miscellaneous things go, and I just watched at the start of the match that just showed just a random player died at the beginning of the game. Um, in terms of just other miscellaneous things, in terms of like UI, just the way the game starts, like would you say that it's I don't know if I'd want to say an upgrade, but um, what's kind of your I guess you could say your opinions on that in terms of just like all the new little quirkiness of this game.
what do you mean? Like, are you talking the movement, or what are you talking about?
Like in terms of like how the game starts with the Spartans, because it's similar to Halo 5, but in terms of like I guess you could say presentation, I feel like it's
Oh,
like
it's fine. I guess I don't think too hard on that stuff.
gotcha.
I guess I don't notice those things too much. So I like it. I mean, the little animation at the beginning is fun. I'm sure a lot of people could wish they could customize it, which is maybe something that they can do eventually. We'll see. So maybe it'll be part of the customization later on. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's fine, and you get used to it pretty quick, though.
Speaking of customization, what was your thoughts on the whole just I guess you could say battle pass armor haul? Like was it everything I guess you could say that you were hoping that Halo Infinite like could potentially have, or because they did say like several months ago that for those who liked Reach's customization, like you would not be disappointed with this.
Oh, there's gonna be way more. Well, I don't know about way more, but I think what we saw mostly is what we're gonna have. They might have a few more things. We didn't really see. Do we even have knee pads? Do they have knee pads
Yeah,
in
no,
there?
I think they had knee pads. Like I tried, I think.
I think I remember seeing hip stuff. I remember seeing like leg armor and things like that. But I'm sure they will have all those. So I'm sure there's gonna be more options than
Yeah,
what we saw
like I
already.
think
Already there was
yeah,
an insane amount. So
yeah, especially with the fact that you can just what was it like trans firm roll or something where it's like you could turn your like hand forearm and then just like bicep into like robotic, and then like do the same
yeah,
with the leg.
the transhumeral and stuff like that. Yeah, you can just do prosthetics on. So.
Yeah.
Which is
Um.
cool, and that was a big thing to them. I remember the story coming out about what they were going to do with that and why they wanted to go deeper into that. So
Yeah. So I think we're actually closing towards the end of it. I think I've just about covered most of the things that I want to cover. Now, I guess just any kind of closing thoughts about the tech preview in of itself, or
no, I'm ready. Halo Infinite was fun. I'm excited. The reception, honestly, I paid a lot of attention. The people I paid a lot of attention to were typically people who are outspokenly against 343 Halos and don't like things like Sprint and don't like a lot of Halo recently. I knew the people who tend to already like Halo, I'm sure we're going to like this one at least a little bit.
me?
Right, yeah, they tend to not be as harsh, but it's typically the people who have been critics the entire time. They automatically have a hatred. There's an
Yeah.
automatic reception that they're already gonna be harsher than most people. So those are the people you want to pay attention to, and a lot of them, honestly, the reception for this one is probably one of the best receptions I've seen for a Halo game in a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I've seen,
it's good.
yeah,
So
like I've seen a lot of the feedback on Twitter and whatnot about how a lot of people say that they have not been like this hype for a Halo game since like Halo 3, and how like for me personally, I think it's honestly just gameplay wise, it's the most solid probably since maybe I guess you could say like Halo 2 anniversary in terms of just like gunplay and whatnot. Just like all the guns feel like more useful. Um, but yeah, no, like I would definitely agree. Like this game, it's I don't think I've and like I want to be careful of how I word this just because it's one of those where I was very much hyped for Halo 5, but this kind of gives me very much vibes of like the Halo 3 and kind of like Halo Reach days of where maybe it's because of the fact that there's in a sense like less marketing, so it's like less is the more, that kind of mindset. But
that's exactly what they're doing. They messed up the lot in Halo 5. They had too much marketing for Halo 5, so they've
yeah.
gone the opposite way. Keep it more secret, which again has worked. Halo's been trending way more than I think Halo 5 ever was.
I
So
mean, the fact that's been trending like the last 4 days on Twitter, like, and I think I've seen you actually like mention about that too, unless that was someone else who I'm thinking of. But the fact that like Halo managed to get like trending for 4 days straight. I mean, to me, I don't know if like maybe it's too much calling it a resurgence, but I think it's definitely kind of. Would you say a preview of maybe what's to come in terms of hype, or more hype, I should say?
what do you? Sorry, say again.
Like in terms of the fact that Halo, just for the tech preview, has been trending for 4 days straight. Would you say that's almost like a bit of a preview of probably like what's to come in terms of like just the amount of
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's just got people even more hyped. The people who are on the fence, I think most of them are even more excited. There's about 10% of people that now are definitely not going to enjoy it. I think a lot of people were just waiting for a little bit more news because they were on the fence with the direction, and now they've seen it, they've played it, and now they're feeling it. So overall, I think it just helped ease people's mind. I mean, the people who are excited were going to continue to be excited. It was the people who were like, I'm not sure, who are now on board. So
yeah. Well, I think that just wraps it about. I think that just about wraps it up for this special edition episode of Gaming's Howl. Joker, I just want to quickly thank you for coming on board. I mean, yeah, it's Halo, and you know, I know that you're a big fan of Halo, so it made just all the more sense for you to kind of come on and talk about it, especially given your history with being in the franchise itself. So I'm going to, as I just blank, my bad. um,
No, I'm always happy to come on. So.
yeah. So for anyone who's curious, I'm gonna be leaving Joker's Twitter, Twitch, just all of his social medias down in the description below, as well as if you guys have enjoyed what you've watched and listened to here today, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will also be having my socials and medias down in the description below. And until next time, I am Graywolf, and I will catch you on the next Gaming's Howl. Till next episode.